I'm sure you're familiar with the story of Job. Job had it all. He served God and he loved God and he sought after God, and then one day he just lost everything. He lost his children, he lost his possessions, his wealth, he lost his own health. And for the next 35 chapters, Job is just in a quandary, struggling, arguing with his friends, going in circles within himself, trying to figure out, where did God go? How is it that God has abandoned him? And when God shows up in Job 38, this is what God tells him. The Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, "Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Have you ever in your life commanded the morning and caused the dawn to know its place? Have you entered into the springs of the sea or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you, or have you seen the gates of deep darkness? Where is the way to the dwelling of light, and darkness, where is its place? Who has cleft a channel for the flood, or a way for the thunderbolt? Have you entered the storehouses of snow, or seen the storehouses of hail?" And he goes on and on like this for several chapters, describing his power, and this is the point I want to land on. Verse 8, "Or who enclosed the sea with doors, and placed boundaries on it, and set a bolt and doors, and said, 'Thus far you shall come, but no farther.'" On the surface of it, it looks like God didn't answer Job's question. He didn't address Job's concerns. But I don't believe that the point of all of this is for God to say, "Job, I control the weather. What's your problem?" I think it's to say, "Job, I am God. I am in control, and there is no problem beyond me." What God says about the sea, that he enclosed the sea with doors, that he placed boundaries on it and said, "Thus far you shall come, but no farther." I believe God has said that to everything that comes into my life as a trial, as a struggle. Every grief, every pain, every loss, everything that hurts me, to that thing God has said, "Thus far you shall come, but no farther." To a certain point, suffering is good for people. It refocuses our priorities. It burns out of us those last vestiges of our old self that was supposed to be dead and buried when we were saved. It forges our character. It shapes us more into the image of Christ. And so to an extent, sufferings are good. But at a certain point, it becomes gratuitous. The suffering is no longer effective, and it's just suffering for the sake of suffering. And God does not do that to his people. Unfortunately, the point where God has said, "Thus far you shall come, but no further," is very often further than I'd like it to be. Okay, God, haven't I learned my lesson? But God knows what point is good, and here is where it stops. Because beyond that would be suffering for no reason, and God always has a reason. And that, I believe, is what he wanted to communicate to Job. Is that, Job, I never lost sight of you. Job, I never forgot you. I never lost focus on what was going on in your life. I still hold on to you, and to everything in your life I have placed boundaries on it and said, "Thus far, but no further." Dear Jesus, I pray that when I'm struggling, you would remind me that there is an end to it. Maybe not when I want it to be, maybe not where I think it should be, but once the suffering has done its work, once you have done your work in me, the suffering will end, because you only bring into my life what is to my benefit, whether it is on the surface a good thing or on the surface a really hard thing. Thank you for being the God over all creation who is in control of absolutely every aspect, from the stars across the sky to every single raindrop that falls, and you never lose your grip on any of it. Thank you that I am not insignificant to you, that my sufferings are not insignificant to you, and that you hold the whole world in your hands. In your name I pray. Amen.